So here we are at the end of the first full week of 2021, and what a week it's been. There's a lot of continuing fallout from the riot at the Capitol. Well, we're now learning that a Capitol police officer has died from his injuries after clashing with the mob. That is heartbreaking. The president gave a speech and promised an orderly transition to the new administration, but is facing a ton of pressure to resign. Now, several members of his cabinet have resigned, including Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. And let's not forget, 2 new members of Congress were elected this week from Georgia. Congratulations to them, but you're either very happy about that or you're not. That's our country right now. So after all that's happened, and I know most of you watching are exhausted by the tension right now. We are too. But in order for us to not repeat what happened yesterday, we need to talk about it. So the question is, how did this week make you feel? Write in. What did you take from it? Tori, I want to start with you. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. I think some people took offense a little bit, which is fair from my take yesterday on sort of the optimism. And I think that's really okay. And I'm glad to hear that feedback. I do want to say that this week showed me, and I think showed the world, we have a very different approach as to what color of the skin is protesting or rioting. Because I want to show you, I'm sure you all have seen this, Joe Biden even mentioned it, on the left is the Lincoln Memorial. And that is when the BLM, not the Capitol, is the BLM protesters, they were getting prepared, they were all suited up in camo, ready to go. And what I can't get over this week, I simply can't, is how the mainly white rioters were allowed to walk in. There was no rubber bullets. There was no tear gas. There was nothing. They were there for hours. I went to make coffee. I came back. They're still there. If black people had done it, I think we would have seen a different thing. And I cannot go another week without saying that because I think it needs to be made clear. And what about you?
Listen, I think that's a really important thing to say because I think when you say it, you acknowledge it. And when you acknowledge it, then you can advocate for change.
Right.
So, there's many images and moments that are seared into my brain. And one being exactly what you said, the difference in policing and us calling that what it is so we can continue to advocate for reform and justice and equality for all, regardless the color of your skin. So I think that's a really important takeaway so we can handle it, right? And I think also something that I learned, and it's hard for me to even discuss this on the show because it is so grotesque, but many individuals wore symbols of hate, right? We saw the Confederate flag. We saw a lot of T-shirts with 6MWE. And I'm not saying this to fan the flames. I'm not saying this to add fuel to the fire. I'm saying this so we can address what it is. I had to look it up, as many people on the internet did. It became a trending hashtag. It means 6 million wasn't enough. And it makes my stomach sick saying that out loud. And that's, of course, in regard to the Holocaust. Now, again, I'm saying that so we can talk about it. So we always talk about uncomfortable things on this show. And if we face it, if we talk about it, we can advocate against it. And then to leave things on a positive note, just finally some fashion of unity between Republican and Democratic senators. I know many of our viewers, many of Americans watching right now are sick and tired of our Congress not working for us, only thinking about themselves, never reaching across the aisle like they used to do a decade ago. So I'm hoping after yesterday's events, I'm hoping that we can see in 2021 more reaching across the aisle and more representation of the people, the constituents. So that's what I took from it. What about you, Jeff?
I think what you guys said was very poignant. I agree with everything you said, even though at one point I was getting something out of my eye and it cut to me on the camera, so I was paying attention.
I thought you were crying. No, I'm good.
No, well, yeah, that's what I should have said. I was crying. But listen, I don't want to repeat what you guys just said. I thought it was great. I hate to be the continual optimist on this show, but what happened this week was wrong. I want to reiterate that. I'm not insensitive to what's happening in our government with COVID, with all that stuff, but I have to focus on what I can control right now because I've noticed I've always tried to pick up something after the new year and what can I do better in this new year, right? And I know I'm speaking in broad terms of the whole year instead of the week, but I'm a better person to the world if I'm a better me, right? If I could control me and control the things in my life that I can and make me the best me I can, the more I could reach out across the aisle, so to speak, to my friends, to my women, to Erica, to people of color, to people of the LGBT community, to anybody. The better I am, the better I will be with you, the more I could help you.
The more present you'll be even.
Exactly. Yeah. So the more that, I don't mean to be selfish in that aspect, because what you guys just said is very important, but I think you need to take care of yourself first before you help other people. And I want to go to Erica, because Erica, first of all, again, sorry. for everything you're going through. But we haven't heard from you this week, and it's good for you to be back.
Well, no, thank you. I appreciate everything that you guys are saying. One note that I'll make to all of you is stop being so apologetic about what you're saying. These are things that we need to be very steadfast and clear about what is going on. Sam, you mentioned fanning the flames. You aren't fanning flames when you're just speaking the truth. I often get people who are my, quote, adversaries, who you, just to be very clear, you can only be an adversary if you have someone to fight with, and I'm not fighting with you, so you can fight the air. But let me be very clear with you. I am not making things a racial issue. Me as a black woman, I do not have the power to make it a race issue. I'm speaking on an issue that is about race. What we saw is white supremacy and the idea that white supremacy was being compromised, or that there is power that needs to be perceived to have for white people. If you were someone who decided that you were going to support Trump and it was based on your wallet, it was based on your industry, now is the time to speak up, because we need to know, like, who is with them and who is with the people. I mean, it's a very simple thing. And when I think about what happened on Wednesday, I also think about what happened on Wednesday in downtown LA with a 25-year-old black woman named Berlinda Nito. This is a story that's been picked up all over, mainly on social media, because we have groups of people who really want to see justice being served, although it is not their responsibility to go after the, quote, bad guys. This young woman was walking down the street in downtown LA, and she was accosted by a group of Trump supporters who were demonstrating, and she had her wig torn off, she was beaten, and then she was saved by a Good Samaritan. And just to be clear, there is a photo that is going around of a larger white male with a red beard, and people are saying that he was assaulting her. According to the victim, as well as the police, he was actually the Good Samaritan who pulled her from the crowd and whispered in her ear to just come with him because they were trying to kill her. This is the same place that just months ago people were marching in the streets saying that Black Lives Matter. What I picked up from this week is that we have so much work to do, and it's not about lip service. It's about actually putting your actions and your steps where your mouth is. It's about actually doing the work. So, Jeff, I'm not mad at the idea that you want to look within yourself and figure out how you can do better. I think that this is a great time for us all to reflect and look within ourselves and decide that if we don't want to be the same person next year that we are today, we need to make those changes. And I think we can all benefit from that.
Well said. Well said. That's why we have these conversations on the show. We don't want to ever gloss over anything or brush anything under the rug. We want to face it, talk about it, and advocate and evoke for change with actionable steps. To Erica's point, 2021 can be not only a new awakening, but hopefully a new normal with equity and equality. So thank you for all your words. And DBL Nation, please keep writing in. At some point, we'll definitely be reading your comments because you guys have a lot to say. We appreciate you.